What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout, and today we're talking about the first secret rare from the newest set, Ultimate Squad. But before we begin, hit that like and subscribe button. We are on our way to 500 subscribers when we're gonna have an awesome giveaway. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, our first secret rare from Ultimate Squad, Auto Z. Ultimate, 1 cost, extra card, activate battle. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, draw 2. Then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost less than or equal to the number of Unison cards. Son Goku, Son Gohan Childhood, Vegeta, Trunks Future, Piccolo, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien-Shin-Han, and Chaozu cards in all leader areas, energy areas, battle areas, Unison areas, drop areas, and warps. Send it to its owner's warp, then remove this card from the game. Jesus Christ, Bandai, this is a lot of words to say, like, hey, if it's turn 3, pay 1, draw 2 cards. That's an easier way to say this, like, hey, pay 1, draw 2. Maybe warp something, like maybe you warp something. Unless it has barrier. And then like, it's turn 3. And you paid 1 to draw 2. And maybe remove. Why is this a secret rare? Okay, let's ditch the negativity and let's talk about positive aspects of the card. It exists. It's a secret rare, and it has an awesome artwork. That's definitely a positive. You say what you will about the effects of this card, the artwork is awesome, and that's why this card exists. It's a collector's item. It's like the Goku and Frieza secret rare from set 14. It's not a good card. Goku and Frieza is still better than this. But, like, it's here for collector's value. If you open it, you're probably never going to play it unless you're playing one very specific deck, which we're gonna talk about later. But, like, otherwise, this is your money card, hopefully. Hopefully your money card, you can, sell this on card market or TCG Player or wherever for some cash. So, yeah. Those are the positive aspects. Now let's look at the problems of the card. Okay, cost 1, activate battle if your opponent has 3 or more energy. And now you're reading this and you're like, okay, Heroine's Lineage? Maybe. Like, okay, 3 or more energy, that's a bit later on in the game. Okay, it's his third turn, not mine, so it's probably a strong effect. It's activate battle, so if he attacked you, you didn't counter to get this effect. So, let's see. Draw 2 cards. Okay, draw 2 cards. I would prefer to, draw them on activate main. Not necessarily, maybe battle, if the effect is good. And then it's like, warp 1 thing, only if that thing doesn't have barrier. And only under very, very specific circumstances. And then you remove this card from the game. So, is it filled with problems? Yes it is. Okay, there is a lot wrong with this card, but let's first focus on this other effect. You choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost less or equal to the number of Unison cards on Goku, Son Gohan, Childhood, Vegeta, Trunks, Future, Piccolo, Krillin, Yamcha, Tien-Shin-Han, and Chaozu cards in all leader areas, energy areas, battle areas, Unison areas, drop areas, and warps. Send to the warp and remove this card from the game. We're talking about this effect. If you caught any of if you fell asleep while I was, reading this, or if you got lost, well, that's how I felt the first time I was reading this card. So, okay, there is a lot of text. It's really a word soup. But is this effect any good? Let me go about this the completely wrong way, completely ignore the newest Goku Unison leader and say like, hey, let's say I'm a madman who wants to put this card in some other decks. How often can I actually get value from it, depending on how often these characters see play? We'll start off with Chaozu. Now let's move to Tianxin Han. Tianxin Han has some value from this card, so let's count. Okay, leader 1. You're playing at least 2 copies of Chaozu. Chaozu comes out, turn 1, dies, it's a blocker. 1 is in the drop area, that's 2. He gets out your free drop, who dies, that's 3. And let's say you play your 4 drop, that's 4. So let's say that our very minimum is 4 with Tianxin Han. Maybe, under some circumstances, you have like either one more Chaozu or one more free drop, or maybe you've even comboed with one of the 4 drops, or some of them are in your energy area. You can get this up to like 5, but let's look at the barest minimum is 4 in this scenario. Son Gohan Childhood. This one is rough. So you have your leader, the blue one. The green one is, and you have your boss monster. That's 2, but that one comes very late in the game. But okay, it counts energy, it counts drop. So let's say that's 2. Okay, and you have the skillless one, and that's 3. So bare minimum, let's say 3. And let's say, of course, you're playing this before you drop your boss monster, you're playing this a bit earlier. So I'm giving it, some lenience here. I'm saying, okay, it can be in the energy, or maybe it's in the drop area. So for Gohan, we'll go with a minimum of 3. Trunks Future, we have the yellow leader, that's 1, we have the free drop, that's 2, and we have the 1 drop, that's 3. So let's say 3, maybe 4. With this leader, it really depends on the board state and how the game has progressed until your opponent's turn 3. But I think that like 3 or 4 is fair to say. I think we can all agree that 3 or 4 is fair. Then we also have the God Sealing. So if you're playing blue and you're playing God Sealing, that's 1. But if you're playing against blue, that's at least +1 to this counter. For all of the decks that we have mentioned, it's at least +1 more. Then we get to Goku and Vegeta. This is where I break my counter, because I'm sorry, but there's just like a whole bunch of Gokus and Vegetas. I'm really not going to bother going through all of them in different scenarios that you can encounter them. But let's be fair, I think we can all agree that the minimum value is like at least 4. It's at least 4. So whether if it's like red, blue, yellow, whatever, I think that like at least 4 is the universally accepted one. It is. So it's 4. Fine. And I think I've just covered all of them, haven't I? No, there is one more. Before I touch the final one, I just want to say this. This is all me trying to justify a horrible secret rare card and trying to find a place for it in the game outside of where it's obviously intended that it should go. So take this with a grain of salt. What I'm about to tell you isn't like competitive at all, but neither is this card. So what is the home for this secret rare outside of the yellow Goku Unison or Piccolo when it comes out deck? It's this. This single deck that can get the highest value from this secret rare is Green Beerus. Yes, that is the single deck that outside of the obvious ones that can get the highest value for warping something. Here is how. You don't count the leader, you don't count the Unison, but you are running 2 versions of Goku, 2 versions of Vegeta, and 3 versions of Piccolo. That's 7. So your bottom minimum, depending on your setup, with what you've comboed, what you have in your energy. Are you running the Namekian package? Let's say that you are, because otherwise why are you playing Beerus? Is 7. Beerus has 3 of your targets in him. Yes. So, yeah, ironically, Beerus is basically the one that, can do most with this card. Besides, Beerus is also the one that wants to get into battle and do things in the battle. Yeah, it won't count for the field card, but still. Yeah. I'm completely, you can see on my face, I'm completely dead serious. The deck that can profit the most is Green Beerus from Realm of the Gods. Getting serious for a moment, yes, this card is obviously meant to be played with the newest yellow archetypes. If you want to play it somewhere else, now you know some numbers. But this card is... the reason why it's bad is, I've talked about this in my green video, and that's flavor over quality. If you don't know what flavor over quality problem is, it is basically when Bandai decided to replicate moments from the anime to capture that feeling from the show point by point, to the point where it's just detrimental for the card. It makes card bad because they're taking this to such extremes. And I personally, as a green player, this is my biggest issue. There is no reason for flavor equals bad. Red Jiren is an amazing example of this, where it's flavorful but it's good. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check my video on green, link in the description below, shameless plug, like and subscribe. So, yeah, this is the biggest problem with the card, And even when you're doing this, Bandai, please, I know you don't want to look at me, I get it, but I'll say this anyway. Bandai, you could have at least given this thing, it gives you plus 5k. That's it. You pay 1, it's activate battle, it's when your opponent has 3 or more energy. So worst case scenario, it's at least draw 2, gain 5k, and that's it. That's the worst case scenario, the one where you don't warp anything. Maybe, you hit like draw 2, gain 5k, warp, 3 drop, 2 drop. Doesn't matter. Warp something small that doesn't have barrier. It could have, if you didn't want to give it 5k power, it could have at least ignored barrier. But you just dropped the ball here. And there was no reason for this to happen. I mean, the state of the card that it is right now, it might as well have been green. And that's it for this overly long explanation of why this card is bad, plus couple of minutes of me trying to justify it somehow, only to conclude that it's bad. So yeah, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think okay, there is potential in this card? Do you think that it will ever see play, or is it just okay, it's a fancy collector's item and that's basically it? Yeah, do you think that Bandai dropped the ball? Tell me this. If it had 5k, or if it ignored barrier, or if it had both, would you have played it then instead of something else? That's what I want to know for this video. Drop your comments in the comment section below. I read all of those comments. I try to reply to everything. So I love interacting with you and with our little community. And hit that like and subscribe button. We are on our way to 500 subs, when we're gonna have a pretty awesome giveaway. And yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a week. I will post an update at some point, probably either here or on our Facebook. New production is coming. It's on its way. It's faster than the White Walkers, but it's coming, trust me. And thanks for sticking around. This has been Damien from The Lookout, and I will see you guys in the next video.